stillness of early morning Los Angeles, a scene unfolded that has since dominated headlines and ignited social media in a firestorm of speculation and concern, as fans and critics alike struggle to process the latest chapter in the turbulent story of Lil Nas X. Barely recognizable in the dim glow of the streetlights, the Grammy-winning artist was spotted wandering the streets wearing nothing more than white underwear and a pair of cowboy boots, a surreal image that perfectly encapsulated the duality of his public persona, audacious performer and vulnerable human being. Caught on a fan's phone camera, the rapper didn't shy away from attention. In fact, he leaned into it, strutting with theatrical confidence, singing into the night air, and even donning a traffic cone like a crown, turning an ordinary city block into a stage. Within hours, however, this playful display would spiral into a nightmarish ordeal, one that began as eccentric spectacle, but quickly transformed into chaos. The footage that surfaced on TMZ painted an initial picture of a carefree artist caught in his own world, but the narrative darkened swiftly when authorities entered the frame. Just before dawn, reports emerged that Lil Nas X had engaged with police officers in what witnesses described as an escalating confrontation, culminating in an alleged assault where he reportedly punched an officer twice. For an artist known for pushing boundaries through music videos, red carpet appearances, and bold statements, this real-life drama felt less like performance art and more like a dangerous tipping point. Fans flocked online to defend him, speculating about stress, exhaustion, or deeper personal battles that may have driven his erratic behavior, while critics wasted no time framing the incident as proof of a self-destructive spiral. Amid the swirl of hot takes, one fact emerged with chilling clarity. Shortly after the altercation, Lil Nas X was hospitalized under suspicion of a drug overdose, casting a shadow over what had initially seemed like another flamboyant publicity moment. This sudden shift from spectacle to crisis left even his most loyal supporters rattled, as the lines between performance and reality collapsed in real time. What was supposed to be another late-night episode of celebrity eccentricity had instead become a sobering reminder of the razor-thin line entertainers walk between spectacle and self-destruction. The incident invites uncomfortable questions. Was this a cry for help, a reckless indulgence gone wrong, or a symptom of the intense pressures that come with global stardom at such a young age? Whatever the truth, the surreal image of Lil Nas X, half-dressed and singing into the empty streets, now serves as the haunting prelude to a story that would leave fans anxiously refreshing their feeds, waiting to learn if the man behind the music would make it through the night. As daylight crept over Los Angeles, the hook of this unfolding saga was set firmly in the public consciousness, igniting a collective sense of disbelief, fascination, and dread that only a figure as polarizing and magnetic as Lil Nas X could command. Suddenly, the playful strut through Los Angeles took a sinister turn, as what began as a bizarre but harmless display quickly erupted into a confrontation with the law that would change the tone of the entire night. Reports indicate that police officers, responding to calls about a half-naked man disrupting traffic and drawing a late-night crowd, approached Lil Nas X in an attempt to de-escalate the situation. Instead, the encounter escalated almost immediately, with eyewitnesses describing heated words, erratic behavior, and a visible lack of control from the usually sharp and witty star. Allegedly, things boiled over when Lil Nas X struck a responding officer not once, but twice, a shocking move that left the public reeling as details filtered through breaking news alerts. For someone whose brand thrives on shocking performances and headline-making stunts, this incident blurred the line between artistic provocation and dangerous reality, leaving fans unsure whether they were watching another layer of performance or a genuine crisis unraveling. Authorities, now thrust into a high-stakes situation, detained the rapper on the spot, but the chaos didn't end with the arrest. Reports soon emerged that Lil Nas X required immediate hospitalization, raising suspicions of a drug overdose that compounded the night's already volatile narrative. What could have been a simple booking turned into a medical emergency, as paramedics rushed him from the scene under flashing red and blue lights, painting a picture of both criminality and fragility colliding in the same moment. Commentators were quick to weigh in, some blaming the pressures of fame for the spiral, while others condemned the violence against law enforcement as inexcusable. Online, hashtags exploded, trending within minutes as fans debated whether to defend their idol or confront the harsh reality that fame does not excuse dangerous behavior. Even celebrities chimed in, with a few offering public messages of support, while others distanced themselves, wary of being associated with the unfolding scandal. Meanwhile, footage of the incident circulated relentlessly, dissected frame by frame by amateur sleuths and professional analysts alike, all seeking to uncover whether the artist had truly lost control or if unseen forces, drugs, stress, or even exploitation by those around him were at play. As the conflict played out in both hospital halls and police reports, the story became less about a single night of recklessness and more about the combustible mix of fame, pressure, and personal demons that so often explodes under the glare of public attention. By the following morning, the world was left with an image of Lil Nas X, not as the confident provocateur in cowboy boots, but as a vulnerable figure at the center of a storm he could no longer control, a man whose conflict with the outside world mirrored a deeper battle within himself. Inevitably, the events reached their breaking point in the hours that followed, when what had begun as a chaotic late-night spectacle transformed into a full-blown crisis that captivated global headlines. Inside the hospital, conflicting reports swirled about Lil Nas X's condition. Some outlets claimed he was conscious and combative, others whispered of a potentially life-threatening overdose. The lack of clarity only fueled the frenzy. with fans scouring every corner of social media for updates, clinging to unverified accounts and blurry photos snapped by onlookers outside the ER. Meanwhile, police sources confirmed that charges for assaulting an officer were already being drafted, even as doctors worked to stabilize the rapper, creating an almost surreal image of two institutions, law enforcement and medicine, vying for control of his fate. At this point, the narrative shifted from mere celebrity gossip to national talking point, with pundits on morning shows debating whether this was the latest cautionary tale of fame gone too far, or simply a tragic misstep in the life of an artist known for pushing boundaries. For Lil Nas X, whose career had been built on defying expectations, whether breaking barriers in country rap, challenging norms in music videos, or sparking viral cultural debates, this was a new, darker frontier, one where spectacle collided with reality in the harshest of ways. Witnesses described the hospital entrance as a scene of chaos, with paparazzi shouting questions, fans sobbing, and security struggling to maintain order as the world waited for confirmation of his condition. Inside, his inner circle was reportedly in disarray, friends and team members torn between crisis management and genuine fear for his health. The climax of the story crystallized when official word came that Lil Nas X had indeed survived the night, but remained under close watch for both his physical recovery and his potential criminal charges. This revelation sparked another wave of discourse. While many celebrated his survival, others immediately turned to the looming legal consequences, asking what would happen to his career, his endorsements, and his carefully crafted public image. As the news cycle reached its peak intensity, it felt as though the entire world was collectively holding its breath. Every new update dissected, every rumor magnified, transforming a single chaotic night into an unfolding saga with stakes far higher than anyone could have imagined. Ultimately, this climax was less about the punches thrown or the traffic cone crown than about the stark collision between an artist's public persona and his private collapse. A moment when Lil Nas X's carefully curated mythos gave way to the raw, unfiltered reality of human vulnerability under the crushing weight of fame. Eventually, as the chaos gave way to calmer hours, the resolution to Lil Nas X's harrowing ordeal began to take shape, though it was far from the tidy closure fans may have hoped for. Doctors confirmed he was in stable condition, his hospitalization attributed to what insiders described as an overdose scare, compounded by exhaustion and possible substance use, a revelation that only deepened concerns about his well-being. While his physical recovery was underway, the shadow of criminal charges still loomed, with police departments confirming the assault allegations against him would be pursued, ensuring that the story was not ending, but merely shifting into a new phase. In the days that followed, public reaction split into two distinct camps. Those who viewed the incident as a desperate cry for help, and those who believed accountability for striking an officer must outweigh sympathy. On social media, hashtags evolved from frantic pleas of "pray for Nas" into debates over celebrity privilege, substance abuse, and the crushing expectations placed on young stars who rise to fame too fast and too loudly. Through it all, the haunting image of him parading in cowboy boots and underwear just hours before his hospitalization lingered like a metaphor, a surreal blend of humor, tragedy, and vulnerability that underscored how thin the boundary between performance and collapse can be. Eventually, statements from his representatives called for privacy, urging fans to support his recovery rather than feed the relentless speculation, while mental health advocates seized the moment to highlight the hidden struggles of artists constantly living under the spotlight. Critics, meanwhile, saw an opportunity to argue that the music industry itself bears responsibility for enabling cycles of excess, commodifying shock value without addressing the toll it takes on the human beings behind the brand. Ultimately, whether the world chooses to see him as a fallen star, a troubled genius, or simply a young man grappling with extraordinary pressures, the lesson of this night is unmistakable. Behind the viral moments, beyond the headlines, there is a person navigating battles unseen, and the resolution lies not in scandal, but in the collective willingness to recognize that vulnerability, even in the most dazzling figures, is profoundly human.